I was born into a family that survived and didn't survive the Holocaust. And so that phrase, never again, I grew up with. Never again for anyone, anywhere.
That's Amy Goodman, a prominent Jewish American journalist who spent decades highlighting voices that have often been excluded from U.S. mainstream media coverage, especially those of Palestinians.
More than 310 Palestinians have been killed. The U.S.-backed Israeli military continues to carry out attacks in the Gaza Strip. We're joined by Dr. Hanan Ashrawi, Palestinian diplomat, Palestinian journalist Mohammed Omer, Dr. Mustafa Barghouti, an independent Palestinian lawmaker.
Now, the reason I want you to know about Amy is this. If you look at U.S. news media from outside of the country, you might think that all we have is this.
This population in Palestine is hostile, it's uneducated.
Your family home is slated for eviction. What is the scene right now?
To start, it's not really an eviction, it's forced ethnic displacement.
But I've been watching Amy hold power to account on her audience-funded news program, Democracy Now!, since I was a teenager.
Corporate media has completely failed us. Can you tell us what you think about President Trump saying climate change is a hoax?
While some folks consider her progressive or left-leaning, what Amy's doing is really just unapologetic journalism that puts grassroots voices, people's voices, front and center. The people who are actually affected by the policies of the rich and powerful. It's the kind of approach that's inspired a lot of us at AJ+, myself included.
بس ليش مسكرين علينا يعني؟ يعني هلا أنت عارف إنه سوري بحرب.
¿Y qué es su mensaje para las empresas estadounidenses?
Que nos paguen el daño que nos hicieron.
Amy and Democracy Now! Are the subject of a new documentary, which is why I wanted to talk to her.
There was a part of the film where you talk about your Jewish upbringing and how it's influenced your journalism.
I grew up questioning. That's what Judaism was to me. Being intensely curious, questioning everything. And that is what has led to my beliefs on all of these issues, especially around human rights. Throughout my upbringing, I would be amazed when I'd hear stories of non-Jews who risked their lives to save Jews, for example, to hide a child in their barn. And I'd always wonder, why would someone do this, risking their own lives to save people that perhaps they didn't even know? And so that phrase, never again, I grew up with. That really has informed my sensibility, my humanism, my concern about humanity today. Since October 7th, 2023, you have heard almost no Palestinian voices. It is critical we hear their voices, because when you hear a voice, you identify.
احنا بنموت في شعب فلسطين احنا بنموت مش حياة هذه.
And that is why I say the media can be the greatest force for peace on earth. Instead, all too often, it's wielded as a weapon of war.
For decades, long before October 7th, Amy has platformed Palestinian voices impacted by U.S. and Israeli policies, much more frequently than many of her U.S. counterparts.
Izzeldin Abuelaish, the Palestinian doctor who lost 3 daughters and a niece on January 16, 2009. Dr. Abuelaish's home was shelled twice by Israeli tanks.
Please, we need the truth. And to bring those daughters justice.
I don't call the corporate media the mainstream media, because I think we represent the mainstream. I really do think that those who care about war and peace, those who care about the climate catastrophe, those who care about racial and economic justice, inequality, the immigrant crackdown, reproductive rights, LGBTQ+ issues, are not a fringe minority, not even a silent majority, but the silenced majority, silenced by the corporate media, which is why we have to take it back. Independent media is essential to the functioning of a democratic society, and we need a media that is challenging those in power. When we cover war and peace, we shouldn't be brought to you by the weapons manufacturers. When we cover climate, we shouldn't be brought to you by the oil, gas, and coal industry. When we cover inequality, we shouldn't be brought to you by the banks. One of the ways the media controls the narrative is who it allows to be heard and who it silences. One of the things we do is provide a platform for people to speak for themselves. Our job is to go to where the silence is. You go to the person closest to the story, and if they can't tell their story, you tell it until they can tell their own.